Hi everyone, welcome once again. In this video, we're going to dive into what we call AWS WAF Web Application Firewall. Okay, so we're going to look at how do we use it, when do we need it, what it is actually, again, and how do we configure or how do we provision what we call this WAF. Okay, so first of all, WAF it's just a service. It's a security service provided by AWS. What does it do actually? So what it does is basically it sits at the front of your service or your resources, and what is actually there to do is to analyze, okay, the requests that are coming through from your client or your users, okay, and it either going to, let's say, reject or block, allowed, okay, request a capture, or basically count, okay, the request that is coming through. Why do we need this? Okay, right. Remember, your company or as yourself, all you want is to provide the best service to your client. Okay, by that we mean you want to provide a secure, reliable, okay, scalable, okay, more redundant application or services to your client, okay. But there are some bad actors out there. What they're trying to do is sometimes they want to bring it down by actually injecting some SQL query, by actually writing some script that is going to affect your system and cost you more money. Okay, some of them will also cause some DDoS attacks. Okay, so in order to combat this, AWS provide what we call the WAF. Okay, to prevent what we call this SQL injection, DDoS attack, cross-site scripting, and sometimes remember some of the requests that goes to your application also cost you money. So you want to prevent that. By that, you go for what we call AWS WAF, right? So this is how or this is when you need it. Okay, we will dive into the practical side of things and configure and test it, how WAF behave going forward, and hopefully you have some key takeaway and go and apply it in your various workplaces and homes. Okay, so within WAF itself, okay, you create what we call WAF is at the higher level, is the top level entity. Within it, you create what we call your rules. Okay, the rules can be managed or you create your own rules. Okay, what does this rule do? Okay, the rules will perform an action. What are the actions? The actions are is going to either allowed, blocked, request for a capture, or count. Okay, remember, the rules you can create some of them yourself, or you can use what we call the managed rules. These managed rules are maintained by AWS and their partner security teams. Okay, so you can either leverage on them. Okay, so this customer managed or what we call the rules, okay, will analyze against like bad IPs or malicious requests or deep inspect the application exploit. Okay, so in a nutshell, let's go through this diagram. Okay, your request or your client is requesting, okay, an access to your resource. The resource is at the back end. Let's say this EC2. Before it does that, okay, it goes through, let's say, DNS record. We don't have it here, but I'll do a separate video with regards to that. And then, okay, goes through your load balancer. What you can do is to front your load balancer or your resource. Remember, WAF integrate well with load balancer, API gateway, CloudFront, AppSync, and other services as well. Okay, so what you do is to front your service or your resource with WAF. Okay, so you put in front of your load balancer or your CloudFront AWS WAF. And within that, you set your rules. Okay, the rules is going to perform the analysis to reject, count, request for capture, and so on and so forth. Before the request from the load balancer or your service is sent to your backend resource or your application. Okay, so on a higher level, this is what we're trying to achieve. You're going to analyze the request, okay, and either allow, block, validate, or request. Why are we doing why are we doing this? We want to have a secure, more reliable application, more redundant application in order to satisfy our strategic business objective in a long shell. We trying to, make sure our client get the best notch from the market, okay, which we are going to provide. Okay, so this is what we're doing. So if I go to the next slide, okay, again, this is how it is. So within WAF, you set your rules. These rules, as you can see here, are managed rules. So AWS managed rules like reputation list. I'll show you when we're doing the actual practicals. Okay, we have bad requests and then the common rule set. So these are all managed. Okay, AWS will analyze this before the request is sent to your load balancer and then to your backend application. Okay, so I think at this point, if you capture what we are going to do, we're going to dive into how do we set this up, how to test it, how to block, how to capture, how to allow certain requests come into our AWS resources. Okay, happy so far. I think what we will do, okay, or what we will do before I have provision what we call AWS EC2 instance, okay, using what we call learn template. If you haven't, I will also share that in this video so you can actually go back, and if you don't know how to create EC2 from learn template or just using an instance, that is fine, you can do that. Okay, but I have my instance already running. What I will be doing is to create what we call a load balancer with target group, and then we are going to create a WAF. We're going to set the WAF in front of our load balancer. Are we happy so far? So let's quickly go to my AWS console. Join me in my console. Let's that one. I think I've already logged in. If not, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm in. Right. Let me show you. Okay. I've got my EC2 here already running. So EC2. Let's go to instance. Right. Simply done. That's the name. Okay. I've tagged it like that. So with this instance, let me show you. On it are this script that is running behind the scene. Okay, let's go back here, cancel that. Let's go back here, paste it here, enter. Okay, so this is what is running on the EC2 instance. So I copy the public IP and then I just put it in the search and I'm able to access this. Okay, what is going on within this EC2? There is a security group that is allowing me ports. Let's open that. Let me show you. Okay, make sure you have your port open for port 80 before you can perform. Okay, this rule. Okay, port 80. Yeah, the applications run on port 80. Okay, so again, I'll send the script so you'll be able to, when configuring your EC2, you add that at user data. Okay, so whilst I was creating the EC2 instance, I used launch template. Okay, this is just to show you what I did. So this is the launch template. Right, let me show you. I think let's try and see if we are going to modify. I'm not going to modify, but I'm going to show you what is running on the EC2. So I'll go all the way to the bottom and advanced details. Okay, open that all the way to the bottom again, where we have what we call the user data. So this is the script that is running in the EC2 that I'll provision using this long template is going to provision this alongside. Okay, okay, what you can see is the welcome simply done tech. So this is the host ID and it's going to populate the host ID. We know that already. Okay, this is what you can see. What is that? This. Okay, happy so far. That is all I have. Again, I'll send the script. Those of you who want to do this alongside, that will be brilliant. That is the EC2 running. So go back to it. Okay, what we are going to do, remember, go back here. What is it? Okay, yeah, we're going to create our load balancer. Okay, but with the load balancer, we're going to create a target. Okay, target group with our EC2 as our target. Yeah. Okay, so back here, you go down. Okay, before you create the load balancer, you create a target group first. guess what? The target group is being consumed by the load balancer. So when you create the load balancer without the target group, you need to create it later on. Okay, the load balancer will ask for a target. Okay, so before we create the load balancer, let's do target group. Okay, create a target group. This is an instance, it's an EC2 as our target, all the way to the bottom. Okay, we're not making any changes. Actually, let's give it a name. I think we skipped that name. So let's go, done hyphen TGS target group. Let's go for that. Scroll all the way to the bottom and then we will go next. Okay. So this is the EC2 instance, so you need to add as pending. Yeah. So check the box and then you add as pending. So we are creating the target. So we can happily at the bottom right create target group. Right. At the moment, it's unused. Why? Why? Because the load balancer is not being created yet. The load balancer consumed the target. At the moment, it's unused by the load balancer. Happy so far. So what we will do next is going to create a load balancer, and then the load balancer is going to consume the target. Yeah. So remember, our main aim is to create a load balancer and front it with WAF. Okay. So let's do the load balancer. Load balancer, create a load balancer. We need application load balancer. So select that one and then you give it a name. Okay. So let's call it again simply done ELB. Yeah. Elastic load balancer. It's internet facing. Okay. Scroll the way down. Same networking default. Let's make it more redundant. Spread it across availability zones. So let's select 3. And minimum you need 2. Make your load balancer more redundant. Security group. There is security group I've created called ELB, Elastic Load Balancer Security Group. You can create one and allow in the inbound route allow port 80 on that. Okay. Happy days. Let's select that. Scroll all the way down. Let's leave the way it is. The listener port 80 going to forward the traffic to target group. Okay, so the one we created, let's look for it. Simply done. I think there was a spelling mistake, but that would do. You get the drift. Yeah, so let's select that. Okay, all the way to the bottom right here. Okay, whilst you creating your load balancer, because WAF integrated so nicely with load balancer, it gives you the option to add a WAF whilst you're creating it. Okay, so we will do this. We will add the WAF to the load balancer, but what we will do is we will also create WAF on in a separate WAF and then configure it ourselves. Okay, so let's select allowed WAF. Okay, for security reason, what are we going to do? We are going to apply. Can you see this? So it's going to include 3 manage rules for protection against most common vulnerabilities found in web applications, malicious attacker discovering application vulnerabilities, potential threat based on Amazon internal threat intelligence. So this is managed and Amazon is constantly tracking and updating the rules. Okay, so we are happy to stick to it. So going back to here, so this is the 3 rules that we are allowing or we are attaching to our load balancer. So whilst we're creating the load balancer, we've been given the opportunity to add WAF. Yeah, and these are the 3 rules we are adding. Roger so far. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we are here. We're adding those 3 rules. Okay, we're going to protect our application at the back end, which is the EC2, and we are fronting the load balancer serving the traffic with this. Okay, scroll all the way down. Okay, and then we are blocking anything that matches the rule. Okay, if it matches, it's going to block it. Okay, if it's not, then it's going to allow. So we block. Okay, remember the rules I told you. If you want to count, you can go for count. So auto generate the name. Yeah, let's do it like that. So you're going to create a name called created by ALB. If you want to change the name, okay, you can give it a name you want. Yeah, let's go for that. Okay, here are some of the benefits. Okay, like we already explained, easily cover recommended security consideration with managed rules, customize fine-tune rules that you need. Okay, protect application from common exploit and bots. Okay, so this is what we need. We've reviewed this at the bottom, and then you create load balancer. Okay, create load balancer. So load balancer is getting created. Okay, right. So associating WAF, okay, with load balancer. Remember, this can take a few minutes. So what we could do is I can pause this, and then we will come back to this. Okay, so let's give it a minute or two, and then we will come back and continue. Okay, welcome back. Yeah. So the load balancer has been successfully provisioned and it's active. Okay. So like I show you the script running on the load balancer, sorry, on the EC2. So we're going to access the same thing. So let me grab the DNS of the load balancer here. Okay, get a new tab here, and then just to make sure that our application is running all right. Okay, yeah, we can access it through our load balancer. Again, I've done a separate video about how to secure your site. I'll share the link so you'll be able to watch that one as well. Those of you who want to secure this as well going forward, adding extra layer of difficulty to your learning is the best way forward. Okay, so we know our load balancer is working now. Okay, now let's check the WAF. Cancel that here. Okay, so let's search for WAF. Okay, so WAF. Okay, WAF. Need to bring the F. Yeah, let me go pin this in the new tab. Okay, come here. Remember, we selected to add WAF whilst we're creating the load balancer. Now, let's see what is being created. This is where we are much more interested. Again, we're going to look into it. On the left hand side, we're going to go through the web ACL. This is the actual the top level. Okay, you create the web ACL and then you create rules. Okay, the rules are either managed or you create your own rules. Okay, so the rules, as you can see here, you can create rule groups. Okay, a group or a collection of rules that you can reuse every now and then. Okay, you can also create what we call the regis pattern. You can set that one as well. You can create rules just for IP set. Okay, that you can use in your WAF. Okay, wow. ACL integration, you can integrate this to your application as well, and then a board control on the dash. Okay, on the dashboard. What we are interested here, the most important ones are the web ACLs, the IP sets, okay, regis patterns, rule groups. Okay, so let's look into this more. Yeah, okay, go to the ACL, WAF ACL. This is what we created alongside the load balancer. Okay, let's go into it. Okay, we will create our own WAF, create our own rule groups, and then also leverage on IP sector as well. So let's go into the rules that was created in here in the web ACL. You can see the rules, right? Let's see the rules. These are the managed rules. The one we added, remember the three rules we added? Okay, here you can add your own rules, create your own. We will do. You can add the manage rule. Again, I will show you. Okay. Associated resource. What resource do you want to front the web ACL with? Okay. So here, resource. Again, we are using load balancer. If you go here, you can pick any of the resource that work, efficiently integrate well with WAF. So we got the API, App Runner, AWS Verify Access, Cognito User Pool, and then AppSync, and then we are using Load Balancer. You can add as many resources as you can. Yeah. So this is the Load Balancer. Okay. And then remember, we are on active under DDoS attack. Okay. For example, here the custom response. This is more of, I think, the rules that is already set. Okay, If you want to customize it, you can set for the response body. So login and what's it called? Login and metrics. Okay, again, we can have it here. For now, we got sample requests being enabled. The rest, if you want to enable them, you can enable them. So this is what is being enabled. So sample requests, you can see the requests that are coming in. Okay, right. So because we are getting this, because we tried the load balancer, okay, that's why we got this request coming in. Okay, CloudWatch logs, you can add that as well. Okay, so what we are interested, okay, in the rules, let me show you the manage rules. Come here, add manage rules. Okay, so here you can add any of it. Remember, these are not free. Okay, you need to subscribe and then you can use them. Okay, but here, let me open the AWS manage rules. If you enable any of it, remember you can pay for that. The capacity unit, okay, I'll show you the overall capacity unit you allow. I think it's 1500. Okay, you can enable them if you want. Okay, you can enable them, enabled, enabled. Depending, the more you add, the more CPU capacity that you are going to consume. Okay, so we are not going to add this. We have some already enabled for us, so we'll cancel that. Okay, remember these are managed and it got selected while we're creating this. So the priority, this will first analyze, and then this, and then that one. So the second one. Okay, so this is the rule priorities. Okay, this is the CPU, the WCUs we're talking about. So you allow this. The more you add, the more you pay. Okay, okay, put that one in mind. The default, so when the rules are being analyzed, okay, any rule that doesn't match the request is allowed. If it matches this request, okay, or these rule groups AWS has set, by that we mean, if let's say we have the reputation list, okay, that reputation list is going to drop known bad IPs. Again, if you have the common rule set, remember those one too is going to work against malicious requests. So these are the rules. If it doesn't meet any of them, the request is allowed. Okay, where is that? Where is that? This one, request is allowed. Okay, that's what we have. That's why when we go on the load balancer, we're able to come in. Okay, add rules, add your own rules. Let's add our own rules. Okay, you can do it here, or you create rule group and then you add it to here. We will see both of them. So let's add our own rules. Okay, add own rules. What we're going to do, like I show you the IP, if you have created an IPsec, okay, IPset, you select that and then you give it a name, and then it will come back in the drop down here. Okay, that is when you want to block an IP or allow certain IPs. So you list the IP range and it will be populated here. I'll show you. Okay, you can build your own. This is what we are going to do, or use the rule groups. Okay, you give it a name, and then if you have already created a rule group, you pick it up again on here, give it a name, and then if you have created one, you reuse it. Okay, let's build our own. Let's give it a name. Okay, so let's say, let's call it blocked hyphen simply done. Okay, origin, something like that. Yeah, so what we are trying to do here, I am based in the UK, so we are going to set a rule that is going to block, okay, any IPs or any origin request coming from the UK. Okay, that is the motive, right? So I'm going to block the origin request, and I'm going to use it as regular rules. Okay, the rated base rules. Okay, here you can limit the rate for requests that match. Okay, for example, you got a requester that is constantly requesting a certain asset, you can set the rules to say this is the number of rates that is allowed. Let's say 1,000 rates. After that, you are going to block. Okay, so we are not interested in that. We are interested in blocking certain things. if the request matches the statement, okay, you have other requests, or if the request matches all the statement that has an N rules. Okay, so you can use N if it matches this and that, and therefore it's allowed. Or you can have match at least one, so that will use the wall. If it is matches this or that, then allowed. Okay, or it doesn't match any of the statement, that is not. Okay, remember you can use it. This is kind of the reverse. Okay, if you set the rules, you're trying to do the reverse of it. Okay, so here let's use the match statement. Okay, and what are we inspecting? We are going to inspect originate from a country. Okay, so in that country, again, like I said, I'm based in the UK, so I look for the country code. This will be United Kingdom, which I think at the bottom here. So United Kingdom. Okay, source any IP address coming from the United Kingdom are going to be analyzed, and then this is the rule, is going to perform an action to either allowed, blocked, count, or this is more for the testing, and then request for a capture or even challenge. Okay, so let's block ourselves. Yeah, happy days. Later on, I'll show you the capture as well. All we do is to add. Okay, so block simply done. So we're going to add, and it's adding extra WCU. Okay, and then we create. Okay, as you can see, we've added our own custom rules. We created this. The top three were the managed one. Okay, so happy days. What we will do is we will try, because I'm based in the UK, so let's try that. Okay, this is the load, this is not the load balancer. Let me cancel that. I'm gonna pick the load balancer URL again, refresh that. It's a bit slow. Okay, go back here and pick, scroll down, pick it, and let's test it and see if it's going to work. Okay, paste this here and then enter. Okay, so I've got forbidden. Okay, so the web ACL intercept the traffic. Again, let me show you here. I think that one. The web ACL intercept the traffic, analyze the rules, okay, and then blocked me and say forbidden. Okay, that is what it's trying to do. Analyze my request using the web ACL. The rule says block any origin IP from the UK, and then got blocked. So no requester went through the load balancer. So it's been blocked here. We can allow it, but what I'm going to do is to request for a capture. Okay, so on the web ACL here, okay, I'm going to edit this. Go back in here. Actually, let's click into it. Okay, and then let's try and edit it here. If you can, scroll all the way down. On here, still the same thing, but instead of blocked, I'm going to request to capture. Yeah, where's that? Capture, happy days. And then I'll save the rules. Okay, let's see how quick this will respond. Let's save it. Okay, now we've updated that. Okay, let's see how quickly this will respond. This is the same load balancer. Let's refresh. Now I'm getting this capture. Yeah, so complete the security check before you continue. So again, this is a rule we set in front of our load balancer to say before you, this is a way we can control some bad actors coming in here and there. Okay, so let's capture, if it's a bot, if it's a robot or something like that, okay, it needs to do this. So are you actually human? If you are, can you please select a chair or chairs, or the chairs? You've got that one. Let's hope you get it correct. There's two. Yeah, that is the chair. That one. Let's go for that one. Yeah, let's see what's gonna happen. Okay. Have I missed anything? Let's give it a go. Yeah. Okay. Once you're able to select all the right capture, okay, you are allowed in. Other than that, you know. Okay. So this is the WAF. We know the WAF is doing the job excellent. Okay. Again, we've added our own rules. Okay. Like I said, this is what's created within the WAF. Okay, WAF ACL. What I want us to do is to create our own WAF. Remember, we created this alongside the load balancer. Okay, let's create our own web ACL and see how it works. Right. If you are using CloudFront or a CloudFront distribution, okay, or Amplify or something like that, you can select that. But our resource, the service we are using is regional based. Okay, CloudFront is a global resource. Yeah, regional based resource, load balancer, API gateway, and so on and so forth. So we are leveraging on load balancer. So you select regional resource. Okay, remember, where do we have the load balancer? In the Europe, okay, Ireland region. You give it a name. Okay, this is the web ACO name. Okay, so let's call it simply done. Okay, so tech, okay, web ACO hyphen ACO. Yeah, this should be alright. Yeah, you can describe it. Let's keep that. It's going to create a CloudWatch metrics for us. We're happy with that. Okay. And then here, what are you going to front it with? What are you going to use it for? Okay. I'm going to use it in front of what? Application load balancer. That is what we created. If you are using API, use API. So you go to the resource you want to associate. We are interested in load balancer. Okay, select that. What load balancer? The one we created. Yeah, simply done ELB, elastic load balancer. Check the box to accept that, and then you add. Yeah, so we've added our load balancer. Remember, we want to protect against low reputation source active under DDoS. Okay, so that one is selected. If you want to keep it always, yes, you do. So let's use that one. Go to next. Okay, and then the rules. Yeah, if you have already rules created, you can. If not, you can create your rules within the web AC or whilst you're creating it. Okay, so let's add not manage. Let's add my own rules. Okay, let's add our own rules. And then again, if you have an IP, you can select it. Again, we can build another one. Okay, same thing. Okay, call this test. Okay, same thing. Inspect what? Origin. Let's do the same origin. Okay, source or IP, and you can block or you can capture. Okay, let's block. Okay, blocked and then add. Okay, let's give the country code. Sorry, missed that. All the way to the bottom. Where is it? United Kingdom. Okay, and then happy days. We add rules. Okay, and then go next, and then next. Okay, so rules, we happy with that. Enable sample request. I will show you what we mean by that. Okay, this will be able to display the request, the sample request that are coming through. CloudWatch, we're gonna name it like that. We go next. Everything looks all right. Okay, quickly look through. So you're going to analyze the rules. Okay, if the rule matches, it's going to block. If it doesn't match, okay, the default is allowed. Okay, if it doesn't match, come through. If you match the rule, let's say if you're coming from the Europe, EU, actually particularly in the UK, you are blocked. That is the match. Then this will take effect. And then we go to the bottom and then we create. Okay. Okay. This will take few, I think like a minute or so. Okay. Whilst it's creating, let me quickly walk you through the other side. Okay. On this bit, so you can create what we call the group IPsec. Let me quickly show you the IPsec. So you create IPsec and then you give it a name. Okay. And then you add the IP range you want to block. If it's a specific IP, you add it there. Okay. So why they just pumped up? Okay, if it's specific IP, you add it here and then you create. Okay, So for example, let's give it like test IP, okay, region IP version 4, and let's do, let's say 10.10.10. I'm just making it up, yeah. Dot 10, let's say forward slash 24 or something like that. Okay, just making it up, yeah, just to show you. Okay, and just, yeah, let's try this one. Let's try this one and see. So great. Okay. Oh, slash. Let's do slash 32 and see. To allow that. Let's make something up. Yeah. So I'm just making it up just to show you how to create the IPs. Okay, IPsec. You can create also your own rule groups, which we did. So let's look at the one we created. The web ACL is here. Okay. Again, similar to what I showed you, got your rules that we set to block. Okay. Resources associated, load balancer, and then the login. Okay, sample request will show you all the requests that are coming through. Okay, so back to the load balancer again. Let's refresh that, and we got forbidden. Okay, so back in the request, you can check. Give it a minute. Take a time for it to be populated. Okay. So this is it. Okay, I hope you learned something. So make sure you go away, you understand WebACL is quite simple. Or what you've done is to create what we call what is that? Let me open that one. Okay, so what we've done is to create WebACL. Okay, creating a load balancer, and then we added web ACL. Adding we fronting or we adding web ACL in front of our load balancer to analyze, okay, the requests that are coming through, either blocked, denied, sorry, blocked, allowed, ask for capture or count. Once that rule is met, we can either allow or do any of this action. The actions, you create what we call rules. Okay, the rule groups or just the rules. You can have an IP range which you can set as well. I hope you've learned something. Okay, so let me quickly, I can just, if you want to remove or delete them, all you can do here, you come to, go back here. Okay, let's say for this one, in here you're going to disassociate the resource. Okay, so resource, you got a load balancer. Okay, you can disassociate it if you want it. Okay, that one, and then you can delete it. So copy, let me paste it here. See, okay, that is gone. Once that is gone, therefore you can delete it. If you don't, it will tell you it's being used. Okay, so remember to delete this. Remember again, WAF can also cost you. I think I'll show you a bit. So if you try to delete it like that, it will not allow you. Where is it? Let's go back here. Try to delete it here, will tell you it's been used. So let's say delete. Oh, that is gone. I think I removed the load balancer. Okay, that's fine. Just to show you the pricing. Okay, so per month you might cost you this. Again, remember the WCU that you are using. Okay, so be careful of the resource, especially the manage rules. Okay, all right, I think that is all for the load balancer. I'm not gonna go off and delete it. Okay, I might use it for a different video. So I hope you learned something. Okay, please subscribe. Put a comment in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and again, share with your friends. Okay, I hope you keep learning, and you're going to make sure you have a secure, more reliable, more redundant, again, and more cost effective resources for your customers and your client. Happy learning. See you in the next video. Thank you.